Welcome to the Tenant Podcast. My name's Todd Pearson, here with my good friend and partner, Wes Brown in South Dakota.
Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. Well, I mean, I can go down a different rabbit hole if you want. Everything's good here. We got...
I wanted more from you. I felt like I was going to get more. So
okay. Like, what would you like, Todd? I can give,
I don't know. I think more exuberance, maybe? Do you want to start it over?
We could start over, and I can talk about my motorcycle ride this morning. We don't have
to
start it over.
All right.
It's a wonderful day here in Rapid City. So I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to Todd and I ramble on. But we always have some wonderful guests to cover for us. So, and today's no exception.
And so let's just take this opportunity before we introduce our guests. Wes and I, like he said, do appreciate that you take the time to listen to our podcast. And if you have the opportunity to rate us or review us on whatever platform that you're on, we would greatly appreciate it. And we would also appreciate if you would share this podcast, if you enjoy it, with your friends and family. That would be awesome, because we're trying to build the listener base. So if you would take a moment and do that, however way you see fit, via email, social media, or whatever, that would be fantastic. So that's enough of that. And since Wes isn't going to give me anything else, let's get to it. Today, we have the honor and privilege of sitting down with a phenomenal artist. She's actually fine art photography artist, I believe is what she calls herself. Her name is Lisa Garness Mallory. Lisa, good to see you.
Hey, so happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
We're happy to have you. I've been looking at your website, so I'm really excited.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, explain to us what I just described. What does that entail, being a fine art photography artist?
Well, the reason I say it that way is because I created my process of combining fine art with photography, basically digital photography. In 2009, I came up with the process of using wood carving tools and, believe it or not, sewing needles. I mean, at the time, that was a difficult thing, not to stab myself in the hand a lot. But anyway, what I wanted to do is find a way to stand out from the many, many photographers that are in Colorado and in other states, to be honest with you. There's a lot of competition, especially in our state, because it's so beautiful and we have so much beautiful scenery. But my background is fine art, to be honest, and although I love digital photography, and in the day I'm a baby boomer, did the film camera thing. But when digital photography came out, I just thought, I also am if I just do photography, I'm going to miss a hands-on process regarding fine art. And I thought I really want to combine the two. So to be honest with you, and I'm just going to come out and say it, I mean, the etching part was an answer to prayer. That's what I call it, because I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do that's different than everybody else? And one night it just came to me, why don't you try etching on your photography? And I love flowers. I love landscapes, things like that. But I started out with flowers, etching the lines. And what I basically do is take the tools, and now I use an engraver, by the way, and I etch the emulsion off of the photography in lines and in chunks. I will, I've been known to take like a piece of my wood carving tools and chunk out, like make big wide white spots, in other words, on the photography. And so therefore the fine art photography came into play. I wanted to, okay, I'm a photographer, but I also wanted to emphasize the fine art, piece of it. So that's what I classify myself as.
So did you just wake up after having this idea and you just grabbed a digital print that you had laying around and just started experimenting?
I did. I did it. I remember I did it one night. I thought, oh my gosh, well, okay, I'm going to go get needles. I also use T-pins because back in the day, I did a lot of macrame, back in my high school days, college days, and things like that. And just, did a lot of experimenting. And then as that progressed, I thought, that's going to kill my hands. It was very difficult to hold those tools. So then I don't know. I discovered wood carving tools because I thought, well, they're sharp, so let's see what happens if I use those. That was successful with several of them. And then last year, I was told by the doctor that I could end up getting carpal tunnel. I was having a lot of pain in my hand and my wrist that went up my arm because I was etching for sometimes 6 hours a day. And,
wow.
And he told me to stop doing what I was doing. I'm like, that's not going to happen. I created this process. No way. Am I going to stop my journey, my artist journey? So I don't know. It just popped into my head to look up using an engraver because I thought, well, jewelers use engravers to engrave on different metals, and I don't know. But anyway, I have an engraver. And that has saved my wrist and my hand, and it's faster. I still like the wood carving tools, because the engraver it's not, I don't know how to describe it. It's got a different feel. So I still use the other tools every once in a while. No more sewing needles, though. No more T-pins. They're too dangerous. But so that's kind of how this all started. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So have you had any carpal tunnel surgery or anything or any physical therapy?
Because what happened when I started the engraver, when I started using that pain went away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because when you're using wood carving tools or anything, you have to put lots of pressure and holding it constantly like you do a pencil or whatever. That's what was causing the pain. But the engraver, I can hold looser. You know what I mean? And the engraver does most of the work. I don't have to put that pressure on anymore.
Right.
Now, let me ask you kind of a dumb question because I don't know anything about engravers, but do you have is there different tips that you can put on it? Oh, okay. So you have a lot of latitude as far as, from fine, I don't know what they call them, nibs.
Lines.
Lines to larger pieces that you can put on the end in order to move more emulsion, I guess.
I can go from a very thin line to a fatter line. There's different tips because guess what? It's a Dremel.
Gotcha. So have you always been artistic? Did you grow up in an artistic family? Are you from here? Are you from Colorado?
I'm a native. Yep. I'm a Denver native. Although I lived for about 6 years during my elementary school days. My parents lived in a suburb of Los Angeles, but I am a Denver native. I mean, I've been here most of my life. Yeah. To answer your question about the art, it's in my family genes. Thank God. I'm so happy about that because my mother actually told me that when I was 2 years old and I could, got proficient with crayons and different drawing tools that she would give me, I would tell everybody that I was an artist from the time I was 2. And then my mother did about every form of art there was other than stained glass and pottery. And then my father, we discovered he was artistic when I was in high school. Dad said he felt left out from Mom and my art all the time. So Dad went to the college and he started designing his own sterling silver jewelry that is phenomenal. And then he started making our frames because Mom and I painted. He started making our frames. And so as far as my parents, they were always very supportive of me doing anything, in art. And then there's art on both sides of the family, either musically or fine art. So I'm very fortunate in that because that art's my heart,
So do you still paint as well?
Off and on. My mother was a phenomenal painter. And off and on. But to be honest with you, I feel more proficient in photography. And now with my process, for me, that's my life. And that's my artist journey. And I hope to someday become well known for my process, because I've Googled this and I've been in international shows. I've won 6 international photography shows since I started the process in 2009. And even internationally, nobody has seen what I do. So I'm not about to stop. It evolves all the time.
So there was nobody out there doing this,
No.
what you're doing right now. This
What I'm
technique.
told. That's what I'm told.
Well, I got to say, I've never seen it before. And, I've looked at a lot of photography, and I think it's, I looked at your first piece, which was the Rocky Mountain Range, right? Wasn't that the first piece that you did?
Yeah.
And that one's like one of my favorites. That's phenomenal. I was like,
Thank you.
I was scrolling through your website and looking at all the different work on there, and I was really drawn to that. I was like, wow.
Thank you.
And then I found out that was the first piece you did. I was like, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of what I do, and the fact that here's the cool thing about it. It's been quoted. I've had work in books, magazines, things like that, and several times this quote has come up that I am a pioneer forging new ground by combining the world of fine art with fine art photography, because nobody else is doing it. I call my work edgy. It's definitely contemporary, and it's been interesting because I've approached galleries and they're like, whoa, what are you doing? They've never seen anything like it either. So I'm proud of it, because since I created the process, I can make or break any of the rules. I mean, I can do anything I want with that, and that's been exciting.
I'm assuming Todd, the piece you're talking about, is it called Rocky Mountain Range? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So when I even look at that, other than I can see some clouds behind the mountain, it doesn't even look like a photograph to me, because the way the colors are, it's just really interesting. And I love the work you did in that. And for this being your first piece, wow, kudos, because that's crazy.
Thank you very much. You guys interviewed an artist. I mean, I don't want to plug anybody, but one of the painters that you interviewed, I used to go down and watch him paint, and he gives critiques, on about any form of art. You probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Mike Unteed, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's Mike. I didn't know if I could say that or not.
You can say
absolutely.
whatever you want.
Okay, Mike Unteed. Also know Fritz Anders. Hey, Fritz. When I first started this etching process, I took that mountain piece down to Mike's studio nights, that he does. And there was a core group of people, of artists that, that would show up down there. Basically, we all, came more so than others. Well, anyway, I showed them, and they just literally jumped. These like 4 guys jumped up from their chairs. Mike's standing there, and they're like turning it all kinds of different ways. And I go, what are you doing? And Mike goes, well, I don't know. Maybe it'll look good upside down. Maybe it'll look at what you think upside. Maybe it'll look good sideways. I go, oh no. I mean, it was like freaking me out. But he goes, you know what? You got to keep this going. This is your path. And he goes, I've never seen anything like it. And he's been to several of my shows, him and his wife, and through the years, and he'd go, oh my gosh, and now you evolved it to this and that. So yeah, Mike saw it, and he really, really gave me a lot of support to keep going. Thanks, Mike.
No, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you did a call out to him, because that's great.
Oh, he's a great guy.
And I'm famous for referring back to, because somebody will say something that reminds me of something very similar to what somebody else had said. So I'm always like, oh my God, when we talked to so-and-so, they said this. And so kudos for you for bringing them up. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and Fritz Anders likes my work too. Well, with his wood burning, he does line stuff. But anyway, yeah, Mike really encouraged me, and I'll never forget that night, because they're like, what did you do? So thanks, because that piece particularly is very fine artish.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree. It almost looks like if you didn't know it was a photograph, it almost looks like a woodcut print.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
that
funny.
shot of that mountain range was taken with a Nikon D200, and it was a 600 millimeter lens. And it was taken, would you believe, on a country road in Broomfield.
Oh, wow.
And so therefore, because of the distance, that's why it's so blue, like that. I mean, you know what I mean? It just turned out that way. And I thought, I loved it. I loved the blue and white,
Todd mentioned the woodcut. I'm looking at Kanagawa's Typhoon, the Japanese woodcut that he did. And, with the blues and stuff. And of course, Mount Fuji's way in the back. But it does really, I'm glad you mentioned that, Todd, because it does kind of reminisce to that in essence.
That's true.
Yeah.
You got a point there, because I've done wood cutting, throughout my life. I've tried several different forms of art, mainly through my mom. I mean, every day of my life, I would come home from school and we would do some kind of art. So yeah, I've done woodcut. That's a good comparison.
Yeah. And that's not an easy process either.
No, it's very tedious. What I do is very time consuming and tedious. It's funny because people will look at my work in shows and they'll be like, oh my gosh, or they'll ask me something and then we'll talk later and they'll like, you must charge thousands and thousands for that. And I go, I probably should. Yeah, but I don't. But I'd like to, but yeah, it's there's a lot of art that's time consuming, but I'm very proud of this because believe it or not, guys, I've only put one hole in photo paper one time.
That's pretty impressive because for all the hours that you spent doing this, and I know how delicate the emulsion can be, and it'd be pretty easy, I imagine, scratching the emulsion off to punch a hole in it in the photo paper.
I don't even know how I don't do that. But okay. So the other thing is I started out using photo paper, right? Then I graduated also to include canvas, like that you'd paint on. I etch on canvas, and I also etch on metal prints now that I have the engraver.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's really cool.
Yeah. And now my next experiment is going to be wood, because with the engraver, it would be a lot easier. I mean, I'll have to decide what kind of wood. Obviously not oak.
Something a little softer.
Yeah, something softer. So I want to have many different substrates. That's a fine art term. Surfaces, I guess I'll say, for people that don't know what substrates are, but I want to have a lot of different choices for buyers, because some buyers might go, well, okay, I'm not that into paper, but I really like your canvas. Because with canvas, again, what I do is very delicate, but there is a way to seal the canvas where I don't have to use glass.
When you're using the canvas, is that even more delicate than the emulsion on photo paper, or does it give you a little bit more latitude?
No, it's more difficult to etch through. So therefore, no, it's not as delicate. It's harder. It's a lot harder. When I was using the wood carving tools only, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Because I had to put so much pressure, in order to do that. So the metal prints was an interesting, rather hazardous in the beginning issue that I ran into. And that was when I was etching, I didn't have any ventilation. And all of a sudden I just felt like I couldn't, breathe. And it was hard for me to breathe. And I thought, what's going on? And so the fine metal that comes off when I'm doing that is breathable. And I didn't know that. So now if I do metal prints, I have to do them outside.
Yeah. And wear a mask, I would imagine, some kind of respirator.
And we'll wear a mask. So that was a really good thing to find out before my health was affected.
Right.
So you mentioned having this camera, a D200 with a long lens to get the one shot of Long's Peak that you did.
Yeah. Back in the day.
But now you don't feel like you need to have like these, you don't need to have all this expensive photo equipment to do what you do per se. Is that correct?
Okay. I'd give anything to be able to afford like a Tamron, 600 millimeter, something like that. Let me put it this way. I mean, I don't have the money for a lot of expensive equipment, and I didn't in the beginning. I mean, the D200 I no longer use. I mean, I use a Nikon D7100, and that's not a new camera, but because of, the financial thing, and it's not easy making a living with art, especially photography. I mean, seriously, and I don't know why that is, but it's gotten better. You probably know that, being photographers. But so therefore, when you don't have thousands of dollars to spend on camera equipment and lenses and stuff, you make do. And then I discovered that, the camera's just a tool. If you don't know how to use the tool, if you don't know how to compose a shot, or you don't really just, I feel like you're either born with the talent in the fine art or photography or whatever. Either what you want to do or how you want to do it. Even people that take classes don't always succeed, at being a good photographer and stuff. But I know how to compose. I've been doing photography since I was a kid, and I discovered that I'll use anything. I have point and shoots. I've got DSLR. I've got some lenses, just not, a long lens like that at this point. And they've all served me well.
I just think it's neat that you're able to do these phenomenally beautiful pieces. And it's not about the equipment, like you said, it's about what you do with it. And I've always believed that people get hung up with equipment, and here you're producing these beautiful nature and floral masterpieces, and you're using your point and shoot camera, and it gets you everything that you need, and they look stunning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you are very in tune to the natural world. If you look at your artwork, it's definitely, like I mentioned before, nature and floral. Yeah. Have you always been drawn to nature and flowers? And
yes, I mean, even as a child, yeah, that's my heart too. When I'm out in nature, I can even be at the Botanic Gardens. I mean, it's a very peaceful. How do I want to put this? It's peaceful. It's cathartic. It's I get out of my head of everyday stresses. You know what I mean? Yes, I've always loved that. And I'm a huge animal lover. I'm an animal advocate. Always been that way too. But I grew up in a family that felt this way too. My parents were this way. So I was raised loving nature and loving wildlife.
So when you decided to do this whole process, did you immediately just jump in and start entering shows and getting your work out there? Did it take a while for you to get your work out there? Was it a hard sell to people?
Yes. Be honest with you, I was a member of a guild. That's how I met Fritz Anders. We were a member of the same guild. I'm not going to mention the guild. It's no longer around, but those people are still around. Before I started etching, I was doing the digital photography, okay? And I was entering shows, doing that. And that's in the day, like 2008, okay? Where, like, Photoshop was coming out and they didn't have as many photo programs as now. And when I discovered that I could turn my work into looking like paintings or pastels, or something like that, that's kind of how I started with the digital photography. And I got flack from the painters. Oh, big time. Painters and photographers, because the photographers said they didn't feel like that was pure photography. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And then the painters and the pastel artists and people like that were giving me a lot of flack in shows, but I was winning awards. But anyway, so then when I started etching, I took one of my pieces, not the mountain range piece, but one of my florals up to the guild, and they would do a critique, and the president of the guild had me come up in front of everybody and show what I did, and you could have heard a pin drop. I mean, everybody was just, what did you do? I mean, the photographers, the painters, sculptors never gave me a hard time because I'm not in that category. But anyway, everybody was just, what did you do? How did you do it? And it's interesting because then, not in the group, but, they'd get me aside, some of the photographers, the painters, people, they gave me a hard time. They really did. And I can remember riding home with one of my best friends, has been a painter since he was 18. Stan Schwartz, I love you. He's, he doesn't do podcasts or anything. But we were driving home and I literally had tears streaming down my face. I go, okay, I'm getting flack from my peers. I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I was sad. I was devastated because I go, why are they giving me a hard time? And him and his wisdom, he said, no, you're not going to stop this. You know what Mike Undie told you, because Stan used to go with me to Mike's. And he goes, no. He goes, they are threatened. This is a threat because for competition in shows. It's a threat for the painters because some of your work you digitally enhance to maybe look more like a painting. And then the photographers are threatened because whoa, where's this going to lead now when we compete against her, and that kind of thing. And he goes, he reminded me of, I love the great masters in regards to painters. Monet, I love Monet so much. And Renoir, he goes, remember what they went through, the Impressionists? He said, when they were trying to show their work in the salons, the outdoor salons in Paris and different places, they got so much flack from the other painters. Rembrandt gave them, heck and everything else. And he said, you know what? But they persevered and they kept going. And now look at their work. Oh, bless their hearts, they're not alive. I want to be successful before I die, okay, guys? But, what I'm saying is, their worth as far as their work is priceless. And he goes, no, you probably are for a while going to get your worst critics are going to be your peers, possibly. The peers in fine art, the peers in photography, because they're threatened. They don't know what you're doing, and they don't know what that's going to mean in regards to competing against you in shows down the road. So I listened to him, and he was right. And so as I got more confidence in entering shows, winning awards, getting more recognition from jurors and the general public, hey, it's all about the general public. If you want to sell and you want to get the word out there and you want to get to be known, and I love you, general public. And I have never had one person in the general public in a show say that they hated my work or say it was awful or anything. Generally, they're very curious and they're inspired and fascinated. And I hear from people all the time from my website that have seen my work that have told me that they've been going through rough times and that my work gave them 15 minutes apiece, or 15 minutes of inspiration or even more. I hear from people all the time that tell me that. And so that's my journey. It's my destiny. And I really don't care about the critics now, because I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. And if you don't like my work, that's fine. Not everybody's going to love it. But you know what I mean? My worst critics have been peers.
They usually are. And I think a lot of it has to do with they don't understand it. They, and it kind of goes against their thread. So they're very reactionary. Yeah. I've seen it more than once. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the photographers that are, I would say, the pure photography. That kind of thing. But here's really something cool, guys. You got to hear this. And that is that there's a photographer that I just got done collaborating with in regards to his Kickstarter for his PBS, his second PBS documentary And he asked me to etch 5 of his East African bird shots. And he was giving those to people for a certain amount of donations on his Kickstarter. So 3 of my pieces went, which was $3,000. Oh yeah, I'm so excited. And the exposure I got was huge. Well, Todd Gustafson, shout out to Todd. He's a phenomenal wildlife photographer, mainly does photography in Africa. He approached me and told me my work was phenomenal and wanted me to etch his work. And people like Art Wolf, he's aware of my work, although, he knows who I am on Facebook. And Brad Lewis, shout out to Brad. He let me etch a shot of his that was from Alaska, and gave me lots of, kudos on Facebook and stuff. So, hey, okay, peers that don't approve, don't look.
Right.
I don't know what to say. So I'm a lot more confident now. I mean, like I said, it's been since 2009. And so there you have it. Yeah.
So what size are your prints? Because I see the names, but they don't say what size. How big are they?
I know. I need to work on my website. Typical art.
It's not a critique.
I know, but it's true. I can etch anywhere from 8x10 to 43 by 33 is my largest so far.
Okay.
Wow, that's huge.
Those were on canvas.
Those were on canvas.
Those I did initially on photo paper. Then I shot them again, and then I etched them again. I shot them again, and then I had them printed on canvas, and then I etched them again. My main thing with my work is I'm noted for texture, light, shadowing. I use the lightness that I do with my etching to make shadows, believe it or not. Don't always have to use the color black to make shadows. Color and depth. Oh, I'm big on depth. All of my work, my main goal is to make it 3D. And I've had a lot of people, without even telling them that, tell me that is the case. And I do all that with the etching.
Why do you think it makes that a 3D appearance when you're looking at it? What is it about it?
Well, that's hard to describe because it's the way that I do it. And to be honest with you, people are going to be surprised about this. They always are. I never know how a piece is going to turn out. When I started, I just started. Fine artists, especially painters, they sketch out what they're going to do. I never sketch anything out. I never know what's going to happen until I do it. I use a lot of my fine art skills in order to do what you're asking, to make it more 3D. I just don't know how else to describe it.
The one piece I was looking at earlier, it's called Spirit Dancer.
Yeah.
The thing about this one that I definitely see that, it's Native American dancing, but when I first look at it, very abstract. I mean, it has a very abstract feel to it. Even now that I even know what it is, it's still very abstract to me. I like that a lot. It just something about that just kind of just pops out at you. Maybe it's that 3D effect that we're talking about, but
it's that, and also with her moving. Being a photographer too. I mean, when you shoot movement, then sometimes you get the effect of it being softer, blurrier, whatever. And I love that. When it came out like that, I thought, fine, then that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
I agree. And I don't do that many people's subjects yet. And I will never do faces. I will never do hair. It's always going to be their clothing or the foreground or background, something like that. But thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very proud of that piece.
Yes. And I kind of want to back up just a second too. When you're saying when you first start a project, you don't really know where it's going. Well, that's very much like Julian Schnabel, and his artwork. He's a director. He's done a number of movies, but he's also an artist. And he says when he's approaching a canvas, and he does these really large things that he'll put paint, and then he'll throw a shirt up against the canvas and let it fall. And then he does a lot of that kind of Jackson Pollock kind of pouring. And but he claims the same thing. He says, I don't know what I have no necessarily any idea what I'm going to do ahead of time. I let the piece start to direct itself, kind of thing.
But so that's interesting you should say that, because he's an abstract artist. Every abstract artist that I've ever known, that's what they say. In fact, I am really good friends with a artist that lives a block over from me, and she's an abstract artist. And we just talked last night, and she was telling me all this. I mean, that's pretty typical of the focus on abstract artists. I would say that some of my work could be sometimes classified as being abstract in the fine art world. Some of my florals, like my violet and sparkling water, for example. That's got a lot of abstract factors, in it. And believe it or not, that was an African violet that was in about a 6-inch goblet that they had put sparkling water in and immersed the violet in there, and it was thriving. And I took pictures of that like mad, and I thought, oh, nice, what, bubbles. But I understand that line of thinking, although I wouldn't classify myself as an abstract artist.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Thank you.
So from the get-go, once you started into this process, you started entering shows and international competitions. How did you decide to do that? Did you just say, you know what, I just need to get this out there? And you just thought, you know what, I'm a photographer. I've never entered an international competition of any sort. So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, I've been entering shows since I was a kid, to be honest with you. My mom and I used to compete against each other in shows. Seriously. I mean, when I was painting and she was painting, and we'd enter, in the same categories. And so I'm used to entering shows. That's just been something I've always done. It's just as far as my etching, that was just a natural progression. It's what I was doing. I mean, before that, I was entering, other kinds of photography. And as far as the international, that was a big leap. I am going to share this. It's on PBS. I'm very open about it. You probably read about it on my website. In 2010, I survived 2 life-threatening illnesses back to back. I was a very sick lady. I could barely get out of bed for a year. And I was misdiagnosed 3 times, which I'm just lucky to be here. But anyway, okay, so that was 2010. And it's funny because the doctor I was seeing at the time, she looked at me and she said, beside wanting to live for your mom and your son, your art saved your life too. Because I kept telling everybody in the x-ray department, and everything, I said, I'm not going to die. I mean, that's not going to happen. And I was in a wheelchair. I was so sick. And she said, your art saved your life. Well, in 2011, when I started recovering, after they found out what was wrong with me, I met an artist and in another state. He was a national and international artist. He was a painter, and he highly encouraged me to start entering international shows. So he actually helped me with entering my first one. And the first one I entered was a show that was at the Los Angeles Art Museum. And, big place. And I got 2 etchings in there. Wow. That's, and then my next international show was, I got a piece, the violet and sparkling water. And it was accepted into the Nagasaki, Japan Art Museum for the 32nd International Peace Exhibition to promote peace around the world. And so that, my etching was there for 3 months, and people came from other countries and looked at my work. That was only my 2nd international show. And then, boy, did that give me a boost. So then I just, found out about other international shows, and I've entered the International Photography Awards show, which is a very well-known international photography organization. So I entered that, and I got second place out of 15,000 international entries for photography. I got second place in floral. Then the next year, I got honorable mention out of 22,000 entries in my category. So, hey, and then I won 6 international awards. I won one in London, and I mean, there's several. So there you have it. I mean, I actually entered the International Photography Awards for this year. And fingers crossed, I'll find out in September if I got into that again.
So
is it? Oh, go ahead, Wes.
Oh, I was just going to say, so what category do they put those in when, like in the international ones?
You choose the categories, and there's a ton of categories you wouldn't believe. And they're adding more with artistic photography, which is alternative photo processes. That's
okay.
Locally, that's what that's called. And so I always enter under nature, naturally, and because that's most of my subject matter. So I can't even remember what I entered now. The thing is, international shows are pricey. They charge per image, like $50 an image or something like that. It's pricey. But there's also the jurors are from all around the world. There might be, 80 jurors. And I just figure, hey, it's getting my work out there, and I want them to know who I am.
What did you enter this year for the competition?
I don't remember. I entered 3, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what you know why? Here's why. Because you have to enter the year before.
Okay.
And so, sometimes I just enter, and I'm like, okay, depends on the day and what I decide to enter, that kind of thing. So I don't remember.
So do they send your piece back, or do they keep it, or what happens?
No, it's all online.
Oh, it's all online. Okay.
It's just a digital image of the piece, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing about the International Photography Awards. They're part of the Lucy Foundation. And Lucy is the one, I don't know who Lucy is, but anyway, the Lucy Foundation are the ones that give the awards for this. And if you would be so lucky to win a first place award, they invite you to come to New York City to the Lincoln Center and get your award there. Oh, that would be like, I would feel like I died and went to photography heaven. But, and then you get trophies, kind of like an Academy Award, and it's a big deal. What I got was paper awards, and I got kudos from a lot of the judges. They're allowed to write you messages, like email, because they all have access to your information. They'll email you. And see, the thing with the judges are that they are curators of museums. They're photography. It's all photography. They're photo magazine owners or editors. So you want to get those people to know who you are, because they're allowed then to offer you opportunities once the show is over if they wish to. And I did get a juror. When I entered that, at one point I got a juror from London that owned a gallery in Wales and one in London. And she asked me for some of my 8x10 etchings to put in her gallery to sell, and she sold them.
Nice.
You've gotten a lot of recognition out of these international awards. Have you ended up getting a lot of press from winning these awards as well? Or
well, I've not only entered those, I entered competitions nationally. It's not just international. I've gotten awards nationally as well, and in Colorado, naturally. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of press. I'm very proud of that. When you enter international shows, they do send out press releases, and that's a good thing. That's helped a lot.
And you've been featured on 5280 magazine and also Rocky Mountain PBS, correct?
Yes, and Colorado Life. Denver Life, Westward.
Nice. So how did the PBS thing come about? Did they reach out to you? Somebody saw your work?
That was cool. There was a guy that worked at PBS. He would let artists, photographers, no, it wasn't just any artist, it was just photography. He'd let us send images into him, and then he would choose certain images that would run on PBS for like a week, like when they were going to do ads or something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, all of a sudden your image would come up, and the name was on it, and I found out about that from another friend of mine that's a local wildlife photographer. Dan Walters, shout out to you. They're going to love me after this. Dan's a great guy. Anyway, thank you, Dan. Dan was doing that. And I thought, oh, okay, well, then, I'll contact the guy. And I did. And it was kind of his thing they came up with at PBS. Okay. Well, he accepted my work several times, probably yearly for a couple of years anyway. And then what you do is you would get like your image. He'd take fall, summer, all the seasons shots, and then choose from there. So he might say, okay, your fall shot's going to be featured, in September or whatever. Anyway, well, interestingly enough, after that, the executive producer that's no longer there at the time saw my work, and she contacted me, asked me if I wanted to be on Arts District, and I said, yeah. So she came out to my studio, and she stepped in my door. I'll never forget. Her and another person from PBS stepped in my door and had all my work, like my big work, all arranged. And she walks in, she goes, done. Well, okay, we're going to do this. I'm like, really? Okay. So, and I was really fortunate because at the time, my work was going to go into a show in a Cherry Creek gallery, which for me was fabulous. Cherry Creek, So anyway, that gallery's unfortunately no longer in business. But anyway, she was thrilled about that because she said, well, where do you shoot a lot, especially your flowers and stuff? I said, Denver Botanic Gardens. She said, okay, well, here's what I want to do. I want to film you shooting at the Botanic Gardens, and then from there we'll go over to the Cherry Creek Gallery, and we'll in the same day, and we'll film you over there, and then a different date we're going to come to your studio and we're going to film you there. So I got a huge opportunities, and I haven't seen that since with any other artists, that they filmed them in 3 different locations. And so that was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a really nice piece. It's nicely done, and I think it really highlights your work and what you do. You should be proud of that.
I had a ball. I mean, because to be able at the Botanic Gardens to be able to go in where they raise the orchids, they don't just let everybody in there. That was great, and that's why on that piece I was so excited when I was back there, because I love orchids. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Is that where you go a lot of times for your inspiration and to get new work, the botanical gardens?
I go anywhere. I mean, I go, but as far as flowers, oh yeah, of course. That place, I keep saying this, that place has my heart. I've been going there since I was a little girl, really little girl. And, then I also use Cherry Creek Reservoir, Bar Lake, the Butterfly Pavilion, and places, lots of local places. Yeah. I mean, look, we live in Colorado. You guys know, as being photographers, you don't even have to leave the state half the time to get all kinds of shots of different subjects by just staying in Colorado.
Yeah. 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 It's definitely a wealth of beautiful scenery and cityscapes, and it pretty much runs the ranching to everything. Yeah. So you can
everything, out south, you can go to the sand dunes, that kind of, we have a lot and we're very fortunate, but, I've been known, I take my camera everywhere. Okay. And I've been known to, maybe, be driving along and see some beautiful landscaping regarding flowers that maybe Aurora does or Denver City or whatever. And I'll stop. And as you guys know from looking at my website, I'm a macro, obsessed with macro. I just love that. So I'll take pictures anywhere.
Yeah. I love macro shooting too. In fact, I was shooting a house plant like a week ago just for fun. And I got a 105 macro lens, and so you can get nice and tight on on the 1-to-1 ratio, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. So it's fun.
Yeah, well, the neighbor just gave me some peonies, and they're cute. Oh. Right? And she said, I knew you'd love these. Well, I don't have pictures of those. So guess what? Shout out to the peonies now, because I'm going to be etching those.
that actually should make for a really nice piece, I would think.
I couldn't get like I said, I'll take pictures anywhere of anything, and there are certain subjects that I adore. I love wildlife so much too, and I wish I knew more about specifically wildlife shooting. I think I'm okay at it. That's not, what I do mainly, but, I have a way with wildlife. It's really interesting. I've been that way since I was a kid. They seem to know that I just love them and instantly love them. The elk, I know you're not supposed to get close to elk, but I talk to all of them. Okay, you may want to edit that out.
No, I was just at Custer State Park this weekend and shooting buffalo. So yeah, and the babies. So I talked to them. Yeah,
I went up there when I was a kid.
I talked to my plants. I give them encouragement. I have this palm-looking thing, and I got it, and it looked like it was going to die. And and my wife and I have kind of taken care of it. And this year it just went crazy. And I said, You're looking so good. Keep it up. Good boy. And pet it. And I don't know. It's doing well. So I don't know if it's me or the water. I don't know. But
gotta be something.
Might be something.
Her Boston ferns were so big that we thought they were going to bring the ceiling down, because she talked all her plants too. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. You're fine. You're good.
And you don't have to live in Colorado to talk to plants.
You're in South Dakota. I'm sorry. That's a pretty place too.
Yeah.
Funny.
So, Lisa, let's talk about pricing. Where does your pricing start at for like a smaller piece, and where does it go?
It depends on whether it's an original or a print. My 8x10 pieces for an original are $95, and I do ship. And I'll, it depends on the price and if it's an original and if I can cover the shipping or not. A print of that would be $55. So I have, worked from that range all the way up to $3,000, for my 43 by 33, because they're framed, and the ones that I have available right now. So it runs the gamut. What I try to do is originals, say I was going to do for somebody an original 16 by 20, for example, and that would be, depends on the subject matter, 500 to 600, right? Well, then if they want to print, then it's always half of that. I just that's how I do my pricing. It's half of whatever I'm going to charge for an original.
Gotcha.
That's at least that's an easy way to wrap your head around it. Right. And I think pricing for especially emerging artists, and obviously you're not, but I think that's the hardest thing to kind of figure out is like, where do I price my stuff at that one will sell and one I'm, and making it worthwhile to my time, or, because,
Right.
So my follow-up question to that too. So let's say and I know it's going to depend on, how involved the photograph is, but like, how long does it take to do a 16 by 20? Are we talking days or?
I know everybody asks me that. And again, it's what you just said. It depends on the subject. It depends on how difficult, the subject is. Really hard to put a time frame on that.
Yeah.
16 by 20, say it was an involved flower with a lot of detail or something like that. Actually, with the engraver, I can go faster. So we're talking probably 3 days, up to 3 days, something like that. If it's the larger the piece, the more time it's going to take me, right?
Right.
And also try to price accordingly. But, this is just a rule of thumb with any artist. We never get a lot of our time out of we never get a lot of the work time out of the pricing, because the general public does, a lot of times they just don't understand how long it takes you to do something and how labor intensive it might be. They look at it, and if they like it, naturally they don't want to pay, what you would really like to get out of it. Do you know what I mean? No, that's not always true. It's kind of a rule of thumb. So now let me back up on that. There's painters that have been painting and selling work for years and years, and they're probably getting their price now. If you've been at it, doing any kind of anything artistically, as far as fine art or photography, if you've been at it for 30 years, you're going to be getting your prices. You know what I mean? And you can negotiate easier with galleries, that kind of thing, because you've got the name, and you've got the notoriety. So I can see those people getting their prices. Look at Mangelson, the photographer. Darn good and well, he gets his pricing. And people like Todd Gustafson and Brad Lewis and people like that. They're going to get what they ask for, but they've been doing this for many more years than what I've been doing it. As far as professionally, I've really only been doing this since, like I said, 2009.
Yeah.
Not a long time in the long scheme of things and in an artist's journey. It's really not.
So let me ask you this, Lisa. I know you did some prints for Todd Gustafson. You mentioned that. Do you do people approach you about doing commissions for them?
Yes, I do commission work quite a bit. If a potential buyer comes up to me, say like at a show or I get a call or something, and they've looked at my website and they say, but I prefer this kind of a flower, or could you do, this, that type of thing. Yeah, I'll do it. And in fact, coming up here, so announcement here, I decided if somebody's got a real good photograph, say of, I don't know, trees, say they live in a rural area and they really love their trees in the backyard or whatever, and they have an okay shot, a shot that I could work with, then I'm not always going to do this because I prefer using my own shots. But if they want me to etch their shots, it depends on what it would be. And I don't want to start doing this, on a regular basis, but I will etch, like if somebody else has a really good shot and it means a lot to them, then I would etch that. I don't mind that off and on. Yes, I do commissions.
Awesome. Are you in galleries right now? Do you have any gallery representation?
I don't. Galleries. Here's the shout out. No, not like call me. No, I don't. That's been difficult. Colorado, I hate to say this, but other than wildlife photography and landscape photography and things that there's a lot of those kind of photographers here, as you know, Todd. There's also a lot of painters that do the landscapes and the wildlife and things like that. And gallery owners have been they look at my work and they're thinking about their collectors and their buyers. And so far, which this is sad. I find this very sad because art is supposed to be subjective. Okay, it is subjective. I mean, people do like my work. They do buy my work and that kind of thing. But a lot of times gallery owners, they'll be like, oh, it's not a painting and it's not, pure photography and it's not, this and that. So far, I have not been able to find a gallery that will take a chance, so to speak, on my work in regards to them being able to market it. And I don't see the problem because I market it and it's easy to market. And when my work is in shows, I get a ton of people that really like it. And I do sell and I've sold it. But I don't know. I mean, there again, gallery owners, I've had a hard time, trying to get somebody to take my work. It is contemporary. That's true too. But there are contemporary galleries in Denver. So anybody that's a gallery owner or manager, that I'd love to work with you, to get my work out there, because I honestly think they could have the exclusive on it. If there's a gallery that wants my work exclusively and they're going to work for me like crazy to market it and sell it, that's fine. I'm totally open to that. But, I did have work in a Utah gallery for a year and that worked out well. But, the shipping is extremely expensive. And I would really rather be in local galleries because of that. I know it's kind of amazing with all the marketing that I've done and all the exposure that I've gotten locally. It makes me sad that, I'm not in galleries, not yet.
What about interior designers? I feel like with the kind of work that you do, I could totally see interior designers like glomming onto it, and they always have like an idea of like, oh, this would fit perfect in this space, with this client or whatever. Have you reached out to anybody like that before?
Yes. Here's how this goes with interior designers. And through the years, I've reached out to several because I've gotten referrals. Okay, you give them a price. They want a lowball price, right? Real lowball. And then they get a cut of your price too. And then, it kind of, the artist is kind of the last one to get money, to be honest with you, because there's this person and that person that gets money from your work when they're marketing it to their clients and stuff. And financially, it has not been worth it to me to do that. If I could afford to just do this as a hobby and I could afford to get $20, for a print, or they generally don't want your originals, interestingly enough, because the originals, they don't market it well to their clients that this is why it's priced like this and it's totally worth doing that. So as far as that market, I kind of approached that about 3 years into doing my etched work, and I got really discouraged about it. Things may have changed now on how that went, but I thought, no, I'm not going to take, I put too much into this to take hardly anything out of it, at the end. So would I like some clients just to work with directly that were financially able to buy my original work? Yeah. I mean, I've had collectors. It's funny. I've had collectors, and the collectors I had got so much of my work and put a lot in their houses, and then they ran out of room. So now off and on, they buy from me for gifts. But I need more collectors, guys. I'm putting the word out there. I need people that individually I can work with one-to-one that will collect my work. I mean, I have collectors in several other states too.
So we were talking to Krista Hanley. She has somebody she works with that has a fall collections series and a spring and a summer. So you just need to get your collector. You need to have like a winter scene and then a summer scene and fall scene. Yeah. So,
okay. I'm going to think, thank you.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think, and I think the other thing that when it comes to interior designers, the problem is they don't understand the art market, because all they have to do is like go talk to a gallerist, right? And they, if you want 30%, okay, I'm going to charge $800 for this piece. I get 30%, right? Instead of saying, I want the lowest price you can get. I want, the Wayfair deal,
And that's what they say to me. That the ones I talked to, and one of them had been like an interior designer in Denver for 30 some odd years. And boy, I mean, she approached me with, well, I want a really low ball price. And I said, I can't do that.
Yeah. They don't understand it then.
No, they don't. And they just know that they want to satisfy the client with whatever subject. And they don't understand it. And they could educate themselves if they really, really wanted to do that. And I do know one artist that works with interior designers all the time, but he can afford to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can't. I have to try to make money at this. So.
The reason I asked that question is that when we talked to Fritz last week, he had mentioned that he had been approached, and not by an interior designer, but a guy that had a large house, and had convinced him to bring all this artwork up to his house. And he sold 3 or 4 pieces, he said,
nice.
Wes?
Yeah, I think that was right.
But he drug his feet doing it, right? Because he's like, I don't know if I want to load up my vehicle and then drive up the hill. And, I don't even know if this guy's serious or not. And it actually ended up being really lucrative for him. So my brain just kind of went to, going back to that conversation and thinking about, it'd be interesting if you could get in with the right interior designer that really knew your worth and could push it towards clients that could afford it and would be willing to pay for it,
Right. Hey, I'm open. I mean, anybody that's an interior designer that's willing to do that, I would totally. It's not that I wouldn't want to work with them. I would love that. I think that'd be awesome. Fritz, though, he's been doing this for a lot more years than me. There again, there's the experience, and the exposure, talking for him. And, I'm still trying to find opportunities. I'll tell you what I'd really love too, and that is hospitals contact me. I would love to get my work in the hospitals. Like they do buy artwork, they do like cancer centers, and what do I want to say? Cancer centers and other centers like that. They do buy artwork. Sometimes it's just the prints, but I know other artists that have sold work to hospitals. I just don't have those kind of connections. I'd love that because because I survived 2 life-threatening illnesses, I mean, my work has a story behind it too. I mean, not only, did I grow up always wanting to be a professional artist of some kind. I'm just kind of late in the game because of life. I was a single mom for 10 years and that kind of thing. And so once I could, then I wanted to turn pro. But anyway, I would love to get my work in medical facilities, not just hospitals, but like cancer centers, medical buildings, that kind of thing. They generally have art reps that go around and acquire work for them. And anybody out there that does that kind of a job or whatever, call me. Because I have a story behind my work. And I think if the hospital would promote that, generally hospitals and different places have information about the artists. Not always, but sometimes. I honestly think that my work would be super popular in medical facilities because of my story. I survived 2 life-threatening illnesses. I mean, and that's a big deal. It changes your life forever. You look at things differently. Like I say, I've got people that contact me all the time that have seen my work on PBS or whatever out there on the media. And they're telling me that I inspire them and that I make them, feel better because they have some medical condition or somebody in their family does or something like that. So I honestly feel that part of my artist journey also is that my work somehow helps people through what they're going through. I mean, I heard from somebody recently that said she'd been going through terrible bouts of depression. she saw my PBS feature on YouTube, and she said, I can't tell you how much that inspired me. I used to do art, and I want to thank you because now I'm going to go back to it. And hopefully will help my depression and stuff. So I do feel that maybe this was meant to be, that I was given this as a gift by the Almighty to, that my art isn't just art, that it's meant to help people somehow.
Well, and it's beautiful. So it definitely puts you at peace, and it's relatable. Your subject matter is. So I could totally see that. And
okay.
Speaking, obviously I haven't been in the doctor for a while because of where we're at right now, but the clinic that I go to, when I go in for my yearly physical, there's a piece that hangs in the Kaiser facility here in Lakewood by our buddy Bob Ragland. He has a piece right there in the waiting room.
See?
So I was like, I see that piece all the time when I go in there, and I'm like, man, it makes me think of Bob, but it's also a beautiful piece. It's one of his floral pieces, if I remember correctly. Anyway.
Call me Kaiser.
I think that's definitely an avenue that you should explore, because I think a lot of people would relate to it, and it's such beautiful work. So
thank you so much. Well, it's hard to find out who the powers that be are that make those decisions about getting the art for those facilities. It is extremely difficult. You can't just call a hospital or or Kaiser or something like that. I mean, if somebody can give me contact names and numbers or whatever, I would love that. I just don't know how to acquire that myself yet.
So outside of your website, do you use social media to help market? What other marketing things do you do?
Yes, I use Facebook a lot. I got to tell you, I'm a baby boomer. I didn't grow up with the computer thing and the social media thing. I love Facebook, but I will be joining Instagram, guys. Look for me there. I did join Twitter. Oh God, I'm tweeting now. So I'm going to be using that. Anything I can get my hands on that, that I feel like is a good marketing tool. I'll be honest with you. We all do this on Facebook. Guys, you know that, my Facebook friends and followers that are artists, you know this. If I see somebody that had an opportunity for anything in regards to marketing their work, I jump right on that. But it's networking. Networking is important in the art world and in any profession, really. I've got artist friends that are willing to share opportunities that they've had. And once I have an opportunity, I'll share it too. So I get a lot of exposure that way.
Do you use Twitter differently than you use Facebook? And then if so, how?
I just joined Twitter. Ask me in a few weeks.
Okay, I'll ask in a couple weeks. Do a phone call with you.
I totally intend on using it like I do Facebook. I'm going to get my work out there. And Instagram, I'm really excited to try Instagram too. Actually, one of my followers on Facebook, she saw my PBS program and then contacted me. She's in Florida. And she put one of my pieces on Instagram recently. I gave her permission to do it. And it was very well accepted. So I'm hoping to be able to market big time on that. Yeah.
I think you'll find that Instagram is like right up your alley. I mean, I think it's really made for the visual arts. So I think you'll be happy.
Good. I'm excited.
So have you sold pieces off of Facebook?
Yes. Yeah. I actually, let's see. I've sold a couple of pieces to a Facebook friend in Scotland. So I've got work in Scotland and one that was in Virginia. Now she's in New Jersey. Oh, she's bought a lot from me. I'm happy about that. So yeah, I do. And I don't even have a Facebook business page yet. That I'm going to set up too. It's just been my personal page that I have been able to sell work because like friends of friends, have seen my work and that type of thing. And not as much as I'd like, that's why I continue to market. But Facebook's a good place to sell.
That's good to know. So I just sent you a friend request. So.
Oh, good. Let's all be friends.
That's right.
Todd, send me a friend request.
Are we not friends already on Facebook?
No.
Oh, well, that's disappointing. I'm sorry. For as much as we've talked, we should be friends.
That's disturbing, actually. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you like a lot of artists in that you always have like multiple pieces going at any given time, or do you just focus on that one piece?
Oh no. Once I roll, I go in spurts. Sometimes I'll have like 3, going at once. Here's the thing. Shows motivate me. I live for shows, and some artists nowadays, some of them are kind of backing away from the show thing, but and artists like, that are very high caliber, again, like Mike and T, people like, they don't need shows, they don't do it because they have so much gallery work going on. But anyway, I love it. I mean, I'm a competitive person. And so that I like that part too. With COVID, it's, my heart just sank when all the shows are going to not be happening this year. The ones that I normally enter, like Lone Tree Art Center, they have 2 shows that I generally enter, and just places like that. It's hard. I mean, I'm not used to this, because I work well under pressure, getting work ready for a show. I like meeting deadlines, that kind of thing. So now this is motivating me doing the podcast, guys. I can't tell you how much that means to me because, I've been sitting around going, I don't really feel like doing anything. Because there's nothing, no shows. People can't come over and look at my work. I don't know, but I'm back on the train again. I'm back on track. But yeah, sometimes I'll have, up to 3 pieces at a time. But there again, the engraver makes things faster for me. So I can't say that I won't start doing even more than that at once. I like getting things done quickly. So this process, it's funny because people go, when you painted, you like getting a painting done in one day. And I said, I know. And this process has kind of taught me patience. You can't get it done in one day.
Have you thought about maybe doing like a porch show or something like that? Because I know a lot of artists, especially musicians, but I've seen other artists where they're starting to do like porch shows where you could still keep your distance, but people could come and, have it out in your front yard or on the porch or whatever. And well, our friend Bob, he'll have porch shows every once in a while where he has like select pieces, and then he'll invite people that have bought before or that are interested that he knows, and then come and kind of peruse the artwork and he
that's a great idea.
He does generate sales that way. So I was just curious if you'd ever thought about doing something like that.
That's a great idea. I saw on your podcast page on Facebook that there's artists in Denver that are going to do something similar like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've never even thought of that. But now that I think about it and I saw your post, thank you. I'm going to consider that. I am definitely going to, because I could do that. I have a 3-car driveway.
Oh yeah. So that would be perfect.
Yeah.
And you could, you could space everybody out and people could come over and check it out. I'd check it out.
Would you? Okay, done. Let me see what I can do. No, I love that idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it, because on the news, there's photographers. Hey, you could do this. You said you take pictures of anything that are going and taking pictures of neighbors, and going on people's blocks and keeping the distance and, taking shots of families and stuff. Oh, that sounds bad. Okay, people that don't do photography, we call it shots. No, don't get freaked out. Photos of families and people, and then they're selling those to the people. I don't know how they're getting the money for it or anything, but I thought that was really clever. And I thought about that. I mean, just to bring in some money, right now, that's a cool idea. But I'll think about the front yard show. That's good. Really good idea.
Yeah, have your own show, and then you get to show whatever you want, and it's all yours. And then no commissions are taken; it's all yours.
That's right. I love it. Okay, I like that idea. Thank you.
We're making the to-do list for you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Instagram. Gonna figure out Twitter. Yard show. Report show.
Yeah, because guys, I mean, this is, I want to become known someday for that. Oh yeah, that's a Lisa Garness Mallory piece, thank you. Anything like that, any marketing, anything, let me know because I'm open.
Well, I think it's time to probably wrap this up. Wes, do you have any more questions?
Oh, not right. You caught me off guard. Sorry. Usually when we're wrapping up, it's like, and then throw it to Wes. Oh, let me see. Well, I'll just ask go ahead.
I don't know what happened. There's something, maybe it's the universe is not working with us tonight.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's fine.
You think
it's
it is?
Just,
Are you sure?
Well, it's just, I don't know. I'm the weak link here.
I miss sitting next to you, Wes.
Oh, I know. Touch me.
I got to tell you guys, I mean, seriously, I'm so disappointed you couldn't come here. I wanted to see all the setup. I wanted to wear headphones. I wanted a microphone like that. I wanted to like radio. I mean, I thought, okay, I've done all the other media thing, TV, and I've done magazines and all that. I want to do a podcast and be involved in that experience. Oh, I was so disappointed when you couldn't come.
Well, we'll make it happen.
Do this again. Here's the assignment, because we want to talk to you when things are rolling again, like outside of this stupid pandemic stuff.
I know.
So we want to see where you're at, like a year from now or maybe 9 months from now, and see how the Instagram page is going.
Yeah.
How the driveway art show went, or the porch art show.
Yeah, but you're going to get invited. Remember,
okay.
You can come and see it on your own. Wes, you'll drive down from South Dakota, won't you?
You bet. I'm waiting. My truck is idling as we speak.
Okay, I'm holding you to that.
But yeah, we'll have you on again, and we'll talk about the new things that are happening and what great things have come about since this time. Is there anything in particular you want to mention or talk about to our listeners? Anything in particular coming up?
Look at my website. Do you have any questions? Shoot me a message off of my website, and do commissions. I mean, I'm not dead in the water here. I still want to keep working. I still want to keep selling my work. We all know that the COVID thing is miserable, but I want to, make it positive. Keep moving forward. Think of me for any birthdays, anniversaries, whatever, any gift giving you have. I'd appreciate your business.
Well, we'll definitely promote you, and especially, you know what, we need to put together, Wes. We need to put together like some kind of guide for like the holidays this year. That's what we should do to help and promote all of our artist friends.
A shopping guide.
Yeah, like a shopping guide for all the people that we have on here. And
that would be so awesome.
Yeah, we should do that, man.
Yeah.
Okay, here I do want to say this too. I mean, there's nothing more special than something that's handmade, or that you give some, a piece of art. Well, I'm just going to say art to somebody, and you have some history behind it with the artist. That's so much more special than, buying things online, these prints that are mass produced and all that. Think about giving your business to support your local artists. I'm really big on that. I want your business, but it's important in this year, especially, think of artists and the fact that, we need to make a living too.
Well, and I think, if you're married and you're struggling to figure out what the heck to buy your wife for an anniversary or birthday or a Christmas gift, this is a perfect gift. Who doesn't love orchids? And the way she does them is amazing. So, get out there and buy an orchid for your wife, because she'll love you for it.
Both of you are married. Hello.
Oh, that means I need to go buy some.
I'm expecting to hear from you soon then. Orchid for Todd's wife and orchid for Wes's wife. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you, Wes, for saying that.
It's my fault.
No, I like it. Wes. No, good point.
Yeah.
Before we sign off here, and I'll have this on the episode notes as always, why don't you tell everybody your website real quick, Lisa?
Okay, it's www.lisagarnessart.weebly.com. You can Google me, guys. If you Google, just put my name in your Google search or whatever, and generally my website will come up. But and Weebly is WEEB as in boy, ly.com.
Excellent. Buy local art and support local artists. All right. From the Tenet Podcast, this is Todd Pearson.
And this is Wes Brown.
Have a great week.